the defeat of Donald Trump and Trumpism. Steve, what did you make of the appearance of John Kasich, among other Republicans and former Republicans, at the virtual Democratic convention night one?
It speaks to the size and the diversity of the coalition that Joe Biden is putting together to begin an era of renewal and recovery after the wreckage of the Trump presidency. Brian, when George Washington left office after 8 years, becoming the first human being in 2,000 years to voluntarily give up power, a man who could have been a king, could have been an emperor, who instead decided to retire, his warning to the country that he was the father of was about faction, was about the danger of what political parties were in the day. He worried about the subordination of national interest to parochial interest, to partisan interest. And that's what we have today as we gather to watch the Democratic National Convention, this quadrennial gathering of the oldest political party in the world. The Republican Party is the third oldest in the world. We've come to this moment in American life where we only have one political party in this country that is fidelitous to democracy, to small L liberal democratic values, to small R republicanism. The other political party, the one that John Kasich has spent his life in, has become an autocratic party. It has become a vessel to venerate a cult of personality built around Donald Trump, who's the most incompetent leader this country has ever had. So John Kasich and Meg Whitman and the other Republicans today stood up and they said, our country is more important to us than our vestigial attachments to our former political party. And that is a good thing for Joe Biden as he seeks to bring a message that can unify the country and to remind the entirety of the country that whatever differences we have much more in common together than we do in difference.
Steve, the president is going after no less an American institution than the constitutionally enshrined post office. As we have this conversation, they are going after the post office and the delivery of U.S. mail, a sacred trust, a right of citizenship, is being slowed down. You have talked often about the dissolution of trust in our national traditions, and we've talked about trust in our elections. The president said today, if he loses, it means the election is rigged. Talk about how pernicious a statement that is. You know it's not the last time he will say it.
It's the most pernicious type of statement that any political leader could ever make in this country, because in a democracy, what it requires is one group, one party, one group of candidates being willing to lose. To say, hey, we hear the voters, they've spoken, we'll get you next time. I've personally been on both sides of the concession phone call. I've been at the highest level of two presidential campaigns. It's more fun to win than to lose. But I remember being with John McCain as we placed the phone call to Barack Obama, the president-elect, and the first person who mattered in America that addressed Barack Obama, the Illinois junior senator, as Mr. President-elect, was John McCain. It's the loser through his concession that gives legitimacy to the victor. And what Donald Trump is doing is assaulting the tradition of the peaceful transition of power in this country that has gone on uninterrupted since 1797. And he is assaulting the tradition of free and fair elections in this country that have gone on since 1788. And it is appalling, it is disgraceful, and the only thing more disgraceful than his illiberal pronouncements about the election, his assault on Americans' right to vote, is the silent, cowardly collaboration of the Republican Party's elected membership in the Congress, in the House and the Senate, who with few exceptions have not condemn this. We vote in this country, Brian. We pick our leaders. Free and fair elections are the keystone to American democracy. We are a government of the people, by the people, for the people, and it is an emergency in the United States of America when the President of the United States is no longer faithful to that core idea that we settle our differences peacefully in elections. And nobody should have any doubt about this. If Donald Trump could lock up his political opponents, would he? He would. We know that. If he could shutter newspapers and close down broadcast networks who were critical of him, would he? He would. This is an autocratic personality who is assaulting all of our institutions and our most fundamental democratic traditions for the purposes of retaining political power. He is losing the election because he is the most incompetent and inept leader this country has ever had. He has turned the most scientifically advanced nation in the world to the epicenter of coronavirus death and suffering. We have a shattered economy. Everywhere we look across the country, we see division and broken dreams. And Donald Trump knows his only hope of victory is to try to steal an election. And you think from Lexington and Concord, the shot heard around the world, to the beaches of Normandy, to the Edmund Pettus Bridge, this generation of Americans was given an inheritance. And that inheritance was paid for in blood by American patriots through our long history. And that's what Donald Trump is assaulting and attacking with his illiberal, undemocratic statements, talking about upending the free and fair election process in this country.
Steve Schmidt, thank you very much for being a part of our broadcast tonight, as always. A break for us coming up.